What if I told you that Paris Saint-Germain's historic Champions League victory may have sounded the alarm for the slow death of football as we know it? That, behind the floodlit celebrations in Munich, the emotional tifos, and the outpourings of joy, lies a deeper story. A story of money, manipulation, and the soul of a sport at risk of being hollowed out for profit. Let's take a closer look. Is PSG's stunning 5-0 win over Inter Milan a triumph for their fans, or a warning for the future of football itself? Imagine this. In front of an electrified stadium, Paris Saint-Germain vanquishes Inter Milan 5-0, a Champions League fairy tale finally fulfilled. The world watches as manager Luis Enrique, overcome with emotion, receives a touching tribute from fans, a gigantic tifo dedicated to his late daughter Zana. After years of heartbreak and near misses, PSG has done it. The ultimate European trophy is theirs. The players are ecstatic. The city of Paris erupts in celebration. But as champagne is popped and the world sings PSG's praises, a question lingers. Is this a story of sporting greatness or the culmination of a much darker journey? To answer this, we need to go back to the origins of PSG's meteoric rise and the forces that have quietly redefined not just one club, but the entire landscape of the game. Paris Saint-Germain, or PSG, was once just another French club, ambitious, but never a true giant on the European stage. That changed dramatically in 2011, when Qatar Sports Investments, backed by the Qatari state, acquired full ownership. From that moment, PSG became less a football club and more a global project, a tool of soft power, branding, and, some would say, sports washing. The floodgates opened. Huge investments followed. Stars like Neymar, Kylian Mbappe, and Lionel Messi joined a team now flush with cash and intent on global domination. The results were seismic. Within a few years, PSG became the dominant force in France. They crushed domestic rivals, collecting league titles with clinical regularity. Their ambitions stretched far beyond League One. The club's goal became singular: win the Champions League no matter the cost. That cost? Eye-watering sums spent on transfer fees and wages. Data from Transfermarkt reveals PSG's squad has consistently ranked among the most expensive in football history. Financial analysts like Kieran Maguire warn that PSG's financial profile is a house of cards, built on debt and unsustainable spending, a ticking time bomb for European football. But how does a club justify such spending? The answer is both simple and deeply troubling, because they can. The Qatari owners aren't bound by traditional notions of profit and loss. For them, PSG is an investment in global influence, a powerful extension of national brand. The club's championship run in Munich was the culmination of a decade of strategic investment, money poured into every possible advantage, from world-class facilities to a world-beating analytics team. In the Champions League final, L'Équipe's tactical breakdown revealed PSG's trademark high press wasn't just a brute force tactic. It was algorithmically optimized, leveraging artificial intelligence to predict Inter Milan's passing lanes with uncanny 87% accuracy. As one AI consultant close to PSG put it, "We leave nothing to chance, not even randomness." For fans, this is the stuff of dreams. For purists and critics, however, it's something else. A warning sign that the organic, merit-based dream of football is fading, giving way to a cold, calculated contest of who can spend and optimize the most. Consider, too, the club's approach to player development. On the broadcast, much was made of PSG's youthful starting 11, 7 academy products. But there's a catch. According to Michel Platini, former UEFA president, investing in youth development is a noble idea, but PSG's model is akin to corporate raiding, gutting smaller clubs for profit. Most of these academy stars were actually scouted and poached from rival European clubs by the age of 14. A drain that weakens grassroots football across the continent. The numbers show the scale of the transformation. Deloitte's projections celebrate PSG's bumper revenues, expected to smash $200 million this year, but what the headlines don't say, that success sits atop nearly €500 million of debt incurred to build a trophy-winning squad. Yet on the night of their triumph, none of this financial wizardry was visible to the average fan. All eyes were on the team, the coach, and the banner. An enormous portrait of Zana, Luis Enrique's late daughter, unfurled by the ultras in a heartfelt gesture. For a moment, it seemed the heart and soul of football was beating strong. But was it all as genuine as it seemed? According to internal leaks and investigative reports, the fan tribute wasn't a spontaneous outpouring, it was a campaign orchestrated by PSG's marketing team. Every detail, down to the colors and messaging, was carefully designed for maximum emotional and brand impact. Dr. Laurent Dubois, a leading cultural historian, puts it bluntly: PSG's triumph is a cultural void, replacing genuine community with manufactured spectacle, a triumph of consumerism over tradition. Luis Enrique himself, still emotional in post-match interviews, thanked the fans for their support. Yet reports claim his contract included a loyalty bonus, not for footballing achievements, but for publicly crediting the Qatari owners for the club's success. In the words of Emma Hayes, Chelsea's trailblazing manager, Luis Enrique's genius is his willingness to sell his soul for a paycheck, a Faustian bargain that undermines the integrity of the sport. It's a gut-wrenching thought. What if even grief can be commodified, turned into a tool not just for healing or remembrance, but for brand building? With such vast sums and interests at play, victory on the pitch is just one part of a much larger equation. The financial engineering doesn't end at the gates of Parc des Princes. PSG's parent company pre-purchased the future image rights of young star Desire Du, artificially inflating his market value by $30 million, a move that distorts not just player valuations, but the entire transfer ecosystem. Meanwhile, the record TV viewership in France for the final turned out to be a mirage. Government subsidies provided free TV access for low-income households, a PR move designed to inflate numbers and create a sense of national unity. While the world applauded PSG's prowess, there was a shadow cast, one of economic and social ripples. Paris tourism soared, up 30%, but so did petty crime, jumping 50% as mass gatherings widened the gap between the haves and have-nots. On the other side of the pitch, Inter Milan's defeat brought immediate consequences. Their stock price plummeted, driven down not just by disappointment, but by predatory short-selling. Hedge funds with inside knowledge profited handsomely from Inter's misery, turning heartbreak into just another financial opportunity. It would be easy to dismiss these concerns as the grumblings of sore losers or old-fashioned romantics. But listen to Jonathan Wilson of The Guardian. Luis Enrique's tactical flexibility is a mirage. He simply follows the instructions of PSG's data analytics team, a puppet dancing to an algorithm. Or to Paolo Maldini, a living legend at AC Milan. Inter Milan's defensive vulnerabilities are a symptom of a league-wide decline, a consequence of prioritizing short-term gains over long-term investment. The bigger picture? The very structure of the game is cracking. With financial fair play rules proving toothless, some predict the rise of a closed super league of super-wealthy clubs, a footballing cartel where competition is a facade, and the rest of Europe is left to feed off scraps. Fans are already feeling the disillusionment. For every delirious PSG supporter, there are thousands who see in their victory a hollow echo, a warning that if football continues down this path, what made it special may be lost forever. And yet, as the fireworks fade in Paris and the confetti is swept from the Munich pitch, one question lingers, heavier and more urgent than ever. Is this the future we want for football? A game of billionaires, algorithms, and marketing? Or can the sport still reclaim its soul? What happens next may decide the fate of football for generations to come. The celebrations in Paris are still echoing. Flags wave, fireworks burst, and the city is painted in PSG blue. But while the world applauds, a different kind of tension simmers beneath the surface, a quiet anxiety for football's soul. As PSG's Champions League triumph sets a new standard for sporting success, it also signals a crossroads. Where do we go from here? Is this the future fans want? Or is football on the edge of losing itself entirely? Let's look ahead. Imagine, it's 5 years in the future. The next Champions League final is about to kick off, but the world of football is radically transformed. One possible scenario is the collapse of financial fair play, a system once designed to rein in reckless spending, now revealed as powerless. UEFA, pressured by super-rich owners and legal loopholes, simply can't keep up. PSG's spending has become the blueprint for success, and now, other nation-states and billionaire-backed clubs are following suit. The Super League, rejected by the masses only a few years ago, is rearing its head anew. Only this time, it's not an underground rebellion against tradition. It becomes the mainstream, swallowing up the historical competitions we once cherished. The gap between the super clubs and everyone else grows into an unbridgeable chasm. Jonathan Wilson from The Guardian warned, "Football's new ruling class isn't here to play fair. They're here to win, endlessly, no matter the cost." Picture a Champions League where every semi-final is a contest between clubs whose owners are not local businessmen or passionate fans, but foreign governments and global corporations. The joy of the underdog, the magic of a Leicester, an Ajax, or even a Napoli making a deep run, withered in the face of financial juggernauts. Every summer, hundreds of millions of euros flow, not into the grassroots, but into transfer fees and ever-increasing player salaries. The stadiums? Grand, spectacular, but increasingly empty in spirit. The game on the pitch is dazzling, optimized, algorithm-driven. But does anyone still care about the badge, the history, the story? There's a second scenario, the rise of the global football cartel. The model established by PSG and their Qatari backers becomes a blueprint for others. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, China, soon, a handful of petrostates and investment funds own most of elite football. Clubs transform into geopolitical chess pieces. TV deals are astronomical, but the actual matches feel cold, transactional, tailor-made for the international audience above all. Local fans find themselves priced out, their traditions overwritten by glossy marketing campaigns and sanitized, corporatized pageantry. Dr. Laurent Dubois, a leading cultural historian, described it as a triumph of consumerism over tradition. Fan culture, once organic and rebellious, becomes as tightly managed as the club's social media accounts. Even moments of grief and joy, like the tribute to Luis Enrique's daughter, are curated for maximum marketing impact. PSG's famous Tifo? Its design was dictated not by the ultras, but by the marketing department, ensuring the right emotional note for cameras. Grief, repackaged as a commodity. There's a cost to this transformation that cannot be measured in trophies or television viewers. Michel Platini, former UEFA president, lamented, "Investing in youth is noble, but not when it's just corporate rating. PSG isn't nurturing the next generation. They're gutting smaller clubs for profit." But there is a third, unexpected future, a backlash. As professional football becomes the playground of billionaires and states, a fan rebellion brews. Disillusioned with the top leagues, fans begin to turn away. Attendance drops, television ratings plateau. But it's not a decline of passion, it's a migration. All over Europe, grassroots football finds new life. Regional, local leagues fill with supporters hungry for authenticity. Evenings spent with friends at old, creaking stadiums become the new habit. For these fans, it's not about seeing the world's most expensive players, but watching their neighbors, their children, their communities play. Football returns, in a way, to its roots, a game for everyone, not just a game for the rich. As this seismic shift unfolds, the effects ripple far beyond the pitch. Small clubs, once on the brink, discover a surge of new support and funding. New stories are written, not about financial records, but underdog triumphs and genuine passion. For the first time in years, some begin to believe that the beauty of the game can be saved, not by UEFA, nor by state-owned giants, but by people who simply love football. Yet no future is inevitable. Football stands at a crossroads. PSG's triumph is both a warning and an opportunity. The question is, will the people who claim to love the game do something about it? So what does all this mean for you, the fan, the viewer, the future stakeholder of football? First, it's a call to awareness. Every time we tune in, buy a jersey, or cheer for a club, we're taking part in the ecosystem that shapes football's future. Our attention, our money, our emotions, they're not just rewards for the teams, they're currency in a wider battle for the soul of the sport. Recognizing this is the first step. Ask yourself, who owns your club? Where does their money come from? Who benefits when your team wins? Is the story you love still being written by the people in the stands, or by marketing executives in distant offices? The uncomfortable reality is that, as viewers and consumers, we have given power to those who see football not as a game, but as an investment vehicle or political tool. But that power can move in other directions too. If you crave authenticity, seek it out. Local leagues, women's football, youth tournaments, these are places where the game's spirit still lives and breathes. When you spend money on tickets or merchandise, consider supporting local clubs or initiatives that invest in communities, not just shareholders. Social media gives every fan a voice. Use it. Demand transparency from your club's owners. Advocate for fairer regulations. Support journalists and organizations who shine a light on the darker corners of football finance and governance. Even at the top level, fans can push back. We saw it with the collapse of the first Super League proposal. Fan outrage was powerful enough to bring billionaires to heel. The lesson? Collective action matters. Kieran Maguire, a finance expert, puts it bluntly. Football's house of cards will only stand as long as fans allow it. If they walk, the money walks too. Remember, football's true magic has always come from the passion of its people, not the size of its budgets. The sport was born in muddy fields, polished in community stadiums, and immortalized by stories that belong to everyone, not just the elite. So as you watch the highlights of PSG lifting the Champions League trophy, think about what you're really seeing. Is it victory or is it a warning? The future of football is not set in stone. It's a contest, as fierce and dramatic as any final. The outcome will depend on countless decisions made by clubs, fans, organizations, and, yes, viewers like you. If you want football to remain more than just expensive spectacle, your choices matter. Your voice matters. If you're inspired by underdog stories, or you miss the raw emotion of football's past, seek out the grassroots and support it. If you're outraged by the excesses of modern football, demand better. Write to your club, speak up online, organize with fellow fans. Change, when it comes, starts with small acts. And here's a secret fact most fans don't realize. The most powerful force in football isn't money or data or political leverage. It's collective will. It was collective will that stopped the first Super League in its tracks. It's collective will that can shape regulations, demand transparency, and protect the game's heritage. Across history, whenever football has been threatened by greed, it's been the millions who love it who forced real reform. So, can football survive this era of commercialization and elite manipulation? The answer is, only if we fight for it. The game's future is not predetermined. It's being written, day by day, by everyone who cares enough to act. Football has always thrived on drama, on stories of triumph and heartbreak, glory and defeat. That story is now in our hands. If you believe the game is worth saving, act on that belief. Support the kind of football you want to see, join the conversations that matter, and never let those in power forget that this is your game too. If this video made you think, share it with a friend. Leave your thoughts in the comments. What does football mean to you, and how do you want it to change? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for deep dives on